Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, I'm going to show you my keys for hard and brutal Hydra for week 2 of Hydra Clash. We have a different Hydra rotation, and I was able to go in, tweak up my teams a little bit. I've changed a few things. I want to talk you through it. I've been looking to push harder, push faster, stronger, more productive, all that stuff. We've actually seen a pretty big increase, guys. I think last week on hard, I did maybe it's about 220 million. I think this week, I can't remember exactly what we got. I think we've pushed it up to closer to 280, not 280, but maybe 250. It's a bit of an increase there. On brutal last week, we did about 100 million. This time we've pushed it up to around about 150 million. So we've been able to increase the score on both of those keys quite substantially. I want to talk to you about, some of the changes I've been trying. Is this the best version of the teams possible? I don't know, but it's fun to try out some new stuff and to see things improve. I will say one thing I tried to do this rotation as well, seeing as we don't have the Head of Torment even in the starting heads. I did try to do 3 teams, one for each difficulty without Inquisitor Shamail. I believe I've succeeded on that on both Nightmare and Brutal. For hard, I tried a few, and with my roster, I just came back to Shamail. He just makes sense. Interestingly enough, one thing I did try, not for this run, but I did have one really good run where I actually replaced Shamail with Whisper. So we had Turvold and Whisper in the same team. I'm curious, just guess for yourselves. I'll show you in a second. How do you think they did? How did they compare Turvold versus Whisper? Let me show you. Here we go. So I've got the picture from it. This was one of the runs I did. We did 228 million in this run. This was the team with the Uko, Kantra, but Whisper did 55 million, Turvold 94 million. What I found with this team, however, was that it was very inconsistent, right? I tried to replicate that run a few times and it just didn't quite work. You need the right sort of luck. You need things to line up in such a way. And that's why I ultimately moved back to Shamail as we're using here. I just found that he makes the team so consistent. So trying to run a team like this every week, no matter what heads show up, you could take a gamble and maybe get really good damage, or you could go for this more consistent sort of setup. So this is almost for hard, almost identical to the team we ran last week. Big changes. We swapped out Mother Cybele, and we actually brought in Kantra the Cyclone instead. So let me actually hop over. You've seen how this is going. Kantra. We brought in Kantra for the first time. I was actually a little bit skeptical about Kantra. I was a little bit skeptical, but there's a few things she does that I think are just really good. So she can steal buffs in her A1, and that's nice. And her AI does seem to prioritize stealing buffs. So that can be really good, right? When Head of Wrath comes in and he gets increased attack, when reflect damage does go up, she'll go up and she does seem to try steal them on full auto. So I think that's very valuable. But it's her triple hit A2 that's putting out all these debuffs. What do I love about this? In combination with this passive, specifically, obviously, she can provoke. We know about that. That's great. She places debuffs on weak hits. That's great. But decreasing the enemy accuracy. And on this passive, she can put decrease accuracy. Also block buffs, decrease speed, right? So there's a lot of stuff she brings. There is a big element of randomness to it. However, with this team, I talked about this before, one of the weaknesses of Uko is that when we have, for example, right here, a head spawns in and it's got this buff, Uko cannot place block buffs and decrease accuracy on that head, which is kind of a pain. So, for example, you can have this Head of Blight spawn in and get Poison Cloud. But as you see right there, Kantra comes in. She's like, I don't care if you've got Poison Cloud. I place debuffs on weak hits, folks. So she comes in and she's put decreased speed on that head through the Poison Cloud, which is really lucky. Kantra comes in again, her A2. She's got block buffs on the Head of Wrath. This was some of the big stuff I found, is that bringing that consistency even when heads respawn in, especially because we're on hard difficulty and we are ripping these heads apart, she can just completely layer up these crucial debuffs on these heads, get them debuffed immediately, and it really smooths out the run in a way that can be a little bit of a problem with Mighty Uko. So that's a pretty big deal. It just gives you that consistency. Another thing, look at that wall of resist. Did you guys see that wall of resist right there? What is happening? That's decreased accuracy doing its work. So between Kantra and Mighty Uko, It just makes that decrease accuracy super consistent. Because she can place it on the other affinities that he can weak hit. She places it even when they have buffs. So between the two of them, you're going to have decrease accuracy up very consistently. And again, that makes your run much smoother. You're basically removing all of the poison damage on hard difficulty. You're removing the provokes. You're removing the heal reduction. All the stuff that you can resist with decrease accuracy and simply resistance from the Great Hall and some resistance, yeah, from the area bonuses as well from the Great Hall. But it's actually super effective. So I was really hyped by that. I did not expect Kantra to be this good, honestly. Like, I knew she was good, but I was a bit worried that she's slightly unreliable with the provokes. So I was like, will it work? Will it not? Actually works out incredibly well. So that's sort of the stuff that is going on there. Yeah, it's a fantastic team. I love the synergies that we have going on here. You could, of course, use Lydia, manual her A3 to get block buffs on the stuff you want. I don't have time for that. You know, I don't want to be doing that. I want to just come in and bam, land that stuff and have it done automatically, auto-magically, and be okay. Another thing, we do have Uko in provoke set. So, for example, when Head of Decay spawns in, you need 5 debuffs for Kantra to actually provoke. 5 debuffs. That's difficult. That's difficult when a head freshly spawns in. She is the decreased speed, so she might not land decreased speed, and the head might be quite quick. Uko with provoke set gives you a bit of a backup. Again, it's not going to be super reliable, but it does make it more consistent. When she misses provoke, Uko has a chance to land it as well, which is quite cool. In terms of how I was playing this run, generally speaking, I was prioritizing very highly killing the Head of Mischief. Why am I doing that? Because he's, number one, very squishy, and number two, he's very fast, right? So he's taking lots of turns, which is our big limiting factor. The boss turn count is the biggest limiting factor for us. And also when we kill him, he depletes their turn meter a bit. So again, it's just making that turn count go more in our favor, which is really important. After that, I was really prioritizing, I think, Head of Wrath, because he's quite squishy. Yeah, Head of Decay, perhaps. Just whatever. Decapitated heads are a big priority, because you can see Turvold hitting there. Hits incredibly hard. He can hit for like 2 million damage on a decapitated head when he has enough buffs. It's pretty powerful, it's pretty potent, and it all goes together absolutely lovely. So that's generally speaking what we're trying to do. Obviously, of course, the number one priority is always a head that's devoured somebody. But yeah, lots of targeting heads to make this work. And I already mentioned at the start, we do have a little bit of a speed tune here, where Mithrala places Hex, decrease defense and weaken from Lydia, and then block buffs, decrease accuracy from Uko. That's the 5 debuffs we need at turn 1 for Kantra, who's then slightly slower than all of them, to come in and provoke. Or Uko, alternatively, can land his provokes at turn 1. You get Head of Decay provoked right at the start, and your run is off to a nice smooth start. So there you are. If we skip on, this run just keeps on going and going and going and going. We do hit the boss turn limit, and maybe one of the first times for me, we don't have any like that many extra turn mechanics in here. Actually got above 300 boss turns. I think where we ultimately died was just everyone starts getting devoured. Like, we're doing pretty well, but we've got 1, 2, like everyone is literally getting devoured. We're breaking people out, but like it just reaches the point where you can't keep up and we're getting sort of slammed down. So I think the final score, we'll see it in a second now. Jamail gets devoured before he can be eaten. Kantra does die. 261.5 million damage is what we did this week. I think that's about 30 or 40 million ahead of last week. So I'm pretty happy. Kantra in the lead, 21 million. Uko, I did switch back into War Master to try keep him. And I also gave him the mastery where he heals, you know, when he's below 50% HP, gets a bit of lifesteal. That mastery to try keep him alive. 13 million from him. Turfield, 115 million. Jamail with 35, Lydia with 13, and Mithrala with 60 million. Jamail sort of doubling up. Let me show you the builds here. So what have I changed? In fact, let me just show them all to you. So Turvold is unchanged. He's coming in Savage just to hit hard. High attack, high crit damage, bit of accuracy, though. He's kind of overkill now with the Kantra aura. These sort of masteries. Straightforward enough. Mithrala, I probably will switch her over to War Master, honestly. I've actually rebuilt her a bit as well. So I've been trying her now in a bolster set. So she's like tanky, right? With a bolster set, I've been trying that out in Arena as something to try out. You know, good bolster champion, something a bit lacking. So yeah, but we might switch her over to War Master, honestly, because she is just so strong for Hydra. That would give us a few more million to play with in terms of damage. So that's something to consider moving forwards. Sorry, who else we had in the team? Not Robar, that's for sure. Kantra and Uko. So Uko, still running in Provoke set. So still almost the same sort of stats. His mastery has gone down a good bit, though. He only has 325 accuracy now, which is a little bit low. But I've moved him over into... I thought maybe he had the same accuracy before. Moved him over into War Master and Life Drinker. I think these two are important. We don't have a leech in this team. You can see the healing is almost non-existent, you know? They're pretty much just healing off of heads when they go really low. Or Head of Wrath, when you kill him, has a chance to put out leech on a couple of random heads. That can heal you up. But yeah, Life Drinker plus War Master, just to make it consistent with staying alive. I found that was kind of nice. We had Kantra, we already saw. Kantra, I had to like not glyph up some of her speed. I had to put her slightly slower to get that provoke turn 1. But 263 speed, it's a little bit high in the crit rate. But yeah, built like this. And her masteries are like this, so fairly straightforward. I actually think she'd be better off with Giant Slayer, so I might actually switch her into that next time. Because she is in Reflex, which is reducing her cooldown, and because her A3 is, or A2, excuse me, is a 3-hitter, I think she might actually be better in Giant Slayer. So I'm going to try switch that up. Let me know. Have you tried her in both? What do you find to be better? Lydia and Shamail then. So Lydia is, I think, in the vault, actually. Yeah, Lydia hasn't changed. She's in the vault, so clearly hasn't changed. Same as last time. Actually, never mind. She's missing some accessories. I forgot to put them on. I guess it just doesn't matter. She can do some mischief tanking. In fact, I probably will try to give her a blood shield. Let's actually do it right now. Let's do it live, shall we? Blood shield, it's an attack ring, unfortunately. What about this? HP, perfect. There we go. HP blood shield. Give her a bit of a shield. Why the heck not? This is part of why I had to run Shamail as well. I just found, trying to, when I did like the run with Whisper, for this run to work, I actually was targeting the fear head as much as I could, just to try kill it. And it's just dice rolls. It's like, oh, people are going to get feared. So specifically with this team, Lydia constantly gets feared because of her passive, right? When someone, well, let me just throw on this and I don't know, what's this ring? Yeah, sure, whatever. Give her that. It's fine. With her passive, whenever an enemy, I guess it's her A1, attacks enemies with this skill, whenever they place a fear on an ally. So she constantly attacks the fear head, constantly true fears herself. If she misses Siren's Wail, it really, really cripples the team. So it's a huge dice roll. If she gets the decreased defense weaken, Turvold and Whisper can just destroy the heads, especially Whisper is reliant on extra turns from her A3 on having decreased defense and weaken out. So that massively affected the run. There was a huge amount of luck in just true fear not proccing, you know? Getting lucky with the stuff, being able to kill, like you could kill the head in like a couple of turns between Whisper and Turvold, but you needed a bit of luck. And I found that was annoying. So I really feel like you kind of need Veil or a cleanser with Lydia to protect her. Probably more like a Shamail. It's just tough. It's just tough with Lydia because of this A1. She constantly fears herself, which is quite annoying. But yeah, I think she can mischief tank with this. So, hey, look, these are probably more like what her stats are going to be. You could probably build her with more attack and more damage. She's just built as she is with these masteries. And then for the Shamail, I've rebuilt him slightly, but this could definitely be tweaked. So he's still built in the same masteries. I did tweak him a bit. So now he is a bit slower, has a bit more attack, proper crit rate. So yeah, that's the sort of Shamail idea in Guardian, helping us stay alive. Probably not needed. I don't know. I might try it next time, building a pure damage Shamail. He was doing a bit of mischief tanking here, which is kind of nice to make it a bit more consistent, but I don't know if it's essential. But yeah, I don't know. So that was Shamail. Again, I feel like you could definitely squeeze a lot more damage out of him, and that might push you up to maybe the 300 million. But then again, you're going to have the Head of Mischief sort of targeting who he wants a bit more. I don't know. Not really 100% sure. But I was very happy. 261 million. Needless to say, I'm very happy about it. I'll show you the Brutal team in a second. Yeah, I was very, very happy with the 260 million. So if we look at the stuff, obviously we've got 6 billion here from Corpulent Cadaver. Pretty sure it's going to be nerfed. These are all Corpulent Cadaver stuff. So that is what it is. We had actually 3 guys then without that did better. So we had, for example, so far have done better than me. We have like Taras absolutely smashing it. Taras Marishka team with Trunda. That's just insane. right? So I don't have most of these I have in this team, I've got Ugo and I have Krisk, so I can't build this team, sadly. This team, again, Taurus absolutely crushing it, actually out-damaging Cupidus with a Venus in there, which is actually really impressive. Taurus is just super underrated. He's insane, obviously. We all know that Taurus is obviously totally overpowered, like probably the most overpowered champion they've ever released. We kind of forget, though, that he is overpowered in Hydra. I think MTG Jedi, when he used him in the Hydra content creator clash, really brought that home, which is how powerful he can be, and Scratch used him as well. Bango actually did really close, so we got 261 here. Bango is really close with an Oella team, which is cool. Again, Taurus coming in there, out-damaging Mashals. This Taurus is being boosted by Shamael, so that helps a bit. But yeah, you know, it's not the best rotation for Shamael, but he's still good. He still makes it consistent, so I was pretty happy with that. Then we had some guys, you know, not doing quite as well, but 260, I'm honestly super happy with that in hard. That gets you a massive amount of points. Again, if we come to Hydra Clash, 7th right now, but I mean, I'm a good bit behind. A lot of people are going to overtake me here. Like, Chunk has beaten me with just 1 key, you know? But for the Hydra Clash on hard, we got 523 million points with that, which is great. That's almost getting you the top chest. Just 1 key, which is fantastic. So yeah, I'm delighted, and it's really fun for me, honestly, to just sort of push it up and try to improve it. I was a little disappointed, perhaps, that it's almost the same team. I tried a lot. I was trying Razzlevarg, I was trying Whisper in there. I tried a bunch of stuff. Nothing was just quite as consistent as just bringing in the Shamael, and it's just easier. It's just smooth. Nothing can go wrong with this team. It just works. It's a 200 million team, probably nearly every single time, no matter what happens. I think 260, pretty much on the higher end of what it can do at this rotation. I think with Fearhead in more often, it could be better, but without Fearhead starting, it limits the Shamael a little bit. Now for Brutal, where are we? Brutal, mix it up big time. This is my Brutal team. I'll keep this one a bit shorter because the video is already long enough, I suppose. 149 million. What I did, remember last week, hang on, let me get it up. How do we do last week? Last week, I only had the 1 damage dealer, right? And I talked about saying, okay, I want to bring in more damage. That's what I felt was holding me back last week. I only had 1 proper damage dealer. I wanted to do better. Here we go. This is my Brutal Hydra team. It's mute me. I don't want to hear me. How do we do last week? Where's the results? We did 105 million last week, right? And Michinaki was basically the only real damage dealer. I felt like that was holding us back. So this time around, yeah, we brought in Michinaki, but I was like, right, we'll bring in 2 Husks as well. So no Shamael. Which means that the Fearhead can really mess us up, right? Nekmothar is pumping out AoEs. Michinaki's obviously pumping out AoEs. We can get feared and it can mess us up. We're relying on Elva for cleanses and Ugo for cleanses as well to try to mitigate that. And it did make a difference. Yes, this was very random. You could be totally messed up by fear. You were just playing into true fear a bunch and there's nothing you could do. You're just going to get feared. You know, relying on Husk A1s for provoke, and we don't have Relentless, so it's a little bit unreliable. Plus provoke set from Nekmo. So the provoke situation is a little bit hit and miss as well. There's a lot of randomness going on. It wasn't like the smooth, consistent team I like to run. But I tell you what, it did great on damage. We just brought in tons of damage. Couple of S-tier, 3 S-tier supports, 3 pretty much S-tier damage dealers, maybe A-tier for Husk. And it worked, honestly, really, really well. So I was happy with that one. We've done a lot better than most. McLovin here. I think you can see the huge gap, right? We've got us about 150 million, boom, jump up to 500 million, and then like 4 billion with the Corpulent Cadaver, right? But we've got the double Acrizia team here, obviously way ahead. There's nothing we can do to compete with that. McLovin actually did beat us here with, again, similar with Nekmo, but we've got the Solus, the Newt in there. Yeah, cool team. So he did beat us slightly. Darn. I was hoping to hit 150 mil just because it's nice. We were just ever so slightly short. But yeah, that team was pretty cool. So if I show you the builds for this team, I was pretty happy with it. Elva, a protection set would be ideal. I have her in Stone Skin for like some arena stuff, but maybe we'll switch it up. But if you got a great protection set, that would be pretty amazing. But she is built super fast, right? She's got crazy speed gear, so she's really ripping through. Doesn't need to be that fast. but we're really just blasting the speed, get those cleanses out as much as possible. We have Necmo, who's now 6-star, Awakened, which is massive. That's so lucky for me. I had to buy the 6-star, pull the 5-star, and then I spent all of the essence I've been saving for like a year getting the 6-star. Absolutely worth it, I think, for that extra speed. He's coming in and Provoke. Again, great speed, good accuracy. Bam, pretty fantastic. These masteries. He does have Cruelty because mostly just for 20% reduced defense. I think that's kind of worth it. Yeah, I think that's kind of worth it. And who else do we have in there? We have the 2 Husks, obviously, and Ugo. Let's look at Ugo first, then the 2 Husks. So this was, I think, Ugo number 1, I think. Some maybe no, I think it's Ugo number 2. Excuse me, Ugo number 2. So fast, tanky, high accuracy, same as last week. Really, no changes there. Then 2 Husks, which I didn't use any Husks last week. Brought in both of them this time around. I think they're both in the vault. Let's get them out. They deserve to be out of the vault. They're both actually 2-star with Cruelty, which is totally unnecessary. I probably should change that, but there's not much to change them into. So their blessing's not really doing anything useful at all. I should probably change it, but hey. So same sort of masteries, War Master, almost the same. Honestly, deterrence is really bad here. Chance to counterattack with True Fear. They're just getting themselves True Fear, so that's a disaster. Don't run deterrence. Though I guess they did the same amount of damage, so it didn't really matter. But Husk 1, huge crit damage. And then Husk 2, lower crit damage. Much, much lower. They did almost the same, which I think is pretty interesting. Considering that they had totally different builds, I think they did almost the same. Husk 1, Husk 2. Barely a difference between them, which is kind of nuts, honestly, when you consider that, isn't it? So I thought that was interesting. I guess just the luck of how the run goes. Yeah, then Michinaki. This is Michinaki number 2, who is in Relentless. I would love to build more champs in Relentless, obviously. Like, I'd love to have those Husks in Relentless. It's way better. I just don't have enough Relentless gear, right? It's hard to get. It's hard set to get. You need to spend a lot of money to get a lot of Relentless to win those tournaments, right? But he's very good speed, bit of damage. Yeah, sort of nice all-round build. War Master, placing the debuffs more. He just does tons of damage. It's crazy. Really adds up. But that was that team. So yeah, between those, very happy. Yeah, I'm very, very happy with sorry, that was the Whisper run. That's not the right one. Yeah, but looking good so far. Like, in terms of Hydra Clash, we have got 971 points so far. So we've got the top chest secured if we were to place in the top 3. I think we came 4th last week against the exact same enemy, so don't know if we're going to pull it off again. I might let you know then about the Nightmare team I'm going to work on. We'll see how that goes. I haven't had time, unfortunately, to sit down and run it. I wanted to bring you this video. It's kind of enough for this video. Plenty in it. There you are. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it was interesting. We've had some really interesting discussions on my Discord channel as well, of you guys showing your teams, what you're running. Like, we had one really, like, one damn cool one, which was almost 300 million on Nightmare. Almost the same. Like, I have this team apart from Tuhanarak. Now, without her, I don't think it works, unfortunately, because she brings block buffs and cleansing, dealing with that fear. But I feel like she makes it so consistent, and that consistent increased speed, increased defense ups the damage quite a bit. Like, yeah, so I don't think I can quite build, but man, like, that's huge. That's so much damage. It's insane. Spoiler warning, though, I am, for me, definitely running Mishinaki, Krisk, and Newt all together on Nightmare. So we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, man, this one makes me feel a little bit bad when I see this. I'm like, man, my team's not going to be that good. It's not going to be anywhere near that good. Like, I'm aiming for, trying to beat my score from last week. We did about 100 million last week. I'm looking to push higher than that. Going almost 300 million on Nightmare. That's inspiring, but not quite up to that point. Not quite up to that point, I'm afraid. So we'll see. But look, guys, thank you for watching. I'll catch you all soon. Have a great rest of your weekend. Goodbye.